Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Block Chat. Today we have with me, as you see, we don't have Makram today leading the show, but it's going to be me and Peter. Peter Merc is, for those who don't know, is our Chief Compliance Officer and the main legal mastermind behind Blocksquare. And as always, me, Denis Petrovcic, the CEO of the company. Peter, really glad to have you here with us. The main reason is because we've achieved something quite remarkable, I believe, during this summer. And all those from our community have heard about it. There's many who don't really know the intricacies or the details of what we have actually done. Can you tell us a bit more about these achievements and why it's so remarkable?
Okay, so since the beginning of Blocksquare, we were always focused on how to properly structure the whole story, the whole tokenization story. And we had always in focus the safety of all the stakeholders. And of course, the investors, the token holders, are those that are, let's say, the weakest party in the whole transaction, meaning that they are exposed to some kind of risks. For example, we have a tokenized real estate, and then the owner of this tokenized real estate disposes this real estate in whatever way, for example, selling it. And investors can be left outside the story, losing everything. So for many years we were thinking how and if it would be possible to find a perfect bulletproof solution for the token holders. And I believe after 4 or 5 years, we finally managed to do that. So what we did, and this is for sure for the first time in Slovenia, but I'm almost sure this would be first time in many European Union and other countries, we managed to put somehow tokens into the Slovenian land register in a way that now we have this tokenized real estate collateralized as a mortgage, and we have a sort of a loan agreement where the subject of the loan are tokens of this tokenized property.
All right. So if I recap what you just said, is basically what we've achieved is before we had with the corporate resolution and transferring economic rights onto tokens and thus those rights to token holders' hands, we gave them legally binding economic rights that derive from the ownership of the asset. However, this corporate resolution may or may not be respected by the issuer, by the owner of the company that owns the real estate asset. Now, if they don't abide by the resolution, they're in breach of contract, and legally speaking, they are somehow committing fraud, right?
Yeah.
Because they're doing something against what has been publicly stated and signed,
and with the intent,
and with an intent to basically take certain rights from these token holders, which the recourse against this would be taking the issuer to court, which it's perfectly fine, but it might take a lot of time, money, effort in actually achieving what is right.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's the risk that you were saying before. They might be left without anything. I mean, the liability towards them might not have been respected, and thus, it might be a litigation, a long time in court, etc. So this is one risk, right? So this implied that tokenization was open just to organizations that have a high brand, high integrity, reputation, etc. But what we've done now, we've added another layer in this tokenization model. So joining the corporate resolution, there's an agreement between the issuer and the marketplace operator, binding the issuer to buy back all the tokens from the market before they want to dispose of the asset. And this is not just in the corporate resolution, this is now directly executable through the notarization, right?
Yeah.
So there's a notary that made this loan agreement go in the land registry and use the asset as collateral.
Exactly. So at the beginning, we were thinking how to establish this safety structure only using on-chain solutions. But of course, then we found out really quickly you need to combine somehow on-chain and off-chain legal solutions. As you mentioned, corporate resolution was the first step, but with corporate resolution, we just established somehow these rules of engagement. We were establishing the regular relationship between the landowner or property owner and token holders. But only with corporate resolution, we didn't have, or the token holders didn't have any leverage against the property owner in case of breaching this corporate resolution. With this additional measure that we now successfully enforced, and it's in the land register, and we all know, everybody in real estate business knows that this is the ultimate protection for the stakeholders in real estate transactions. Now, when we have this mortgage successfully written in the land register, I believe that we reach this ultimate protection for all the token holders.
Here you mentioned a couple of things: protection, mortgage, land registry. So somebody watching us today or watching this in the months to come, this episode might think, all right, so this is kind of a loan, right? So it's like banking, right? So it's a debt thing now. But I think here we need to put a bit of emphasis that it's not really. Why we are using debt as an instrument to achieve the mortgage.
Yeah.
But what is being lent is the tokens themselves.
So yeah, it's not money which are completely fungible. It's the tokens which are non-fungible.
Exactly. The tokens are unique to this property, and they're tied to this corporate resolution of this property.
Yeah.
So the cost of the transaction for the lender is zero, essentially, because there's just the creation of the token.
Yeah, and tokens by per se.
But the tokens themselves, they do have value, right? They have value immediately after they leave the ownership or the holdership of the issuer, and they arrive in the hands of third-party investors, right?
At that very moment, they got a value. Before that, no.
Exactly. And now what happens is that the only way to repay this debt towards the lender is with these tokens.
Yeah.
You can't repay it with fiat. You can't repay it with anything else.
Yeah. So right? the provision in this let's call it loan agreement, because then we will understand as much easier. So in this loan agreement, the subject of the loan are tokens, and but the borrower has only two options. So he needs to repay if he wants to repay the loan in full, he must return all the tokens. The only other possible way to repay the loan is to pay contractual penalties. So if he's not paying all the tokens back, he's paying twice the value of the real estate. So of course, with this contractual penalty, we wanted to incentivize the owner to fully repay the loan in tokens. So now, if he wants to dispose his real estate, he needs firstly to approach the token holders, do the buyback of all the tokens, return the tokens, and then he can, of course, then the mortgage would be deleted, and he would be able to freely dispose his real estate.
At that moment, basically, the economic rights have been bought back, and there's no liability, no obligation towards third-party financiers surrounding the tokenization part, right? Because there might be other lenders, traditional lenders in the capital stack, kind of coexisting. If that is kind of open in the regulatory environment where this is, like if you could have second lien, third lien mortgages, right?
Yeah, but course, we didn't only pay the attention to the token holders in this
Yes.
whole infrastructure. We also paid attention to the real estate owners, because of course we know it might be hard in practice to buy back all the tokens, 100% of tokens. That's why we also put into this corporate resolution so-called of squeeze out rule, meaning that once the owner will have, I think, 90% of all the tokens. It depends. It depends.
There's this threshold that we put in, which defines the quorum required to buy back the tokens, right? So the issuer can define if it's 100% threshold, then it's more like the only obligation is to buy back at the same price it was sold for.
Yeah.
But if it's, I don't know, 50%, then it means that 50% of holders of issued tokens need to be agree with the buyback offer.
Yeah, and for all the others,
it's automatically then
the same conditions.
Exactly.
The same conditions. Yeah,
exactly. So now we have the corporate resolution, and we have this additional loan agreement, token loan agreement, right? That creates this charge. One thing that might not be clear to many people is the main difference when something is in the land registry in this way, because I know we were going back and forth with the notary, right? And she said, like, the best solution or the only solution is when we find a solution where there's direct court executability, so that you don't need to litigate, but this is processed automatically.
Yeah, so that is the, I would say, the main added value of the notarized document. So yeah, me and Denis, we had quite a learning curve with the notary about the legal nature of the tokens, about the tokenization in general. But we knew what the main goal is, what the final destination is, and yeah, the final destination for us was land register, and before that notarized document. And with notarized document, now we have in our hands a legal document which can be easily enforced in case of breach. There is no need for any court proceeding or litigation proceeding. We know that these litigations can take many years. Now, in case of breach, we can go directly to court, put in front of the judge this agreement, and it will be immediately solved. So
it's a 5-minute thing.
That's the power of notarized documents.
Yeah, it's not that you need to go to court to prove that you're right. It's already established that you are right.
Yeah.
The only thing that needs to be established is if there was a default.
Yeah.
Right. And here in this case, when it comes to defaults and loan agreements, etc., the usual practice is that the loan has a repayment date. Right. Now, here we didn't want to go with the repayment date. So what did we do instead?
Yeah, so we didn't set any repayment date. We just said that the loan shall be repaid on the call. So when, for example, Blocksquare as a lender, and in this case as token issuer, requires the repayment of the loan, and this would happen in case of we would be notified about the contractual breach from the owner, then we would require for the loan to be repaid, and then we know what happened. We explained that before.
So what happens here is that the token holders have now a call right, in a way.
A call option through us.
A call option through us. So they can basically go to us or through a marketplace operator that would act as the lender perhaps. So there's a lot of ways how companies that work with us can utilize this now. And they would be basically this mediator in the process, because the token holders might say, hey, things are not being respected, revenues have not been distributed accordingly, or
whatever breach
there might be. And the breach is actually defined in the resolution, right? So what would be used as a breach has the issuer breached any provisions in the resolution, and if it's so, then
This would qualify.
This would qualify us to basically require the buyback to happen.
Yeah. So I would say that in this case, in this transaction or in this infrastructure, Blocksquare or other marketplace acts as a on behalf and for the account practically of the token holders. So we are some kind of angels protecting our token holders.
It's in a way it's equivalent to being having a power of attorney of sorts, or a trusted party that has the best interest of both sides in mind. Because as much as we work with end users, investors, token holders, we also serve marketplace operators. We also serve issuers, property owners, and our goal as Blocksquare is to have the ecosystem that we're building successful. So if things are done, regulated, respected properly, then this creates a thriving ecosystem of parties transacting between themselves.
One additional thing to add, of course, we know that different jurisdictions, different rules, but when we were searching for this for best possible solution, I believe with this mortgage, with this land register, this is something that can be probably with some minor modification implemented in practically every jurisdiction. So we wanted to also find a solution which would be cross-border compliant.
And it's interesting now that for instance, we've done this. We've been also thinking about, so our model is clear, right? So we need to have a legal entity that owns the real estate asset in order to be able to tokenize it, right? But notarizing this transaction in this way, it kind of hints at potentially opening up this as well to individuals who own real estate assets as the issuers, right? And there, I know that before the notarization, we were going in a direction where the corporate resolution would be executed by, let's say, a holding company of sorts or a marketplace operator company on behalf of the real estate owner, where the real estate owner would, even though they're not a shareholder in the entity, would be having like a statement that they agree with the execution of this corporate resolution, and they take the burden of the resolution onto themselves if certain things would happen. However, the risk for the marketplace operator would be still that, in case of death, in case of divorce, so any those sudden unexpected things that are expected actually in life to happen, that they would cause a situation where the asset would be disposed of without a legal recourse by the legal entity owners, and they would be left with an empty bag and a liability towards token holders. So it was something that is possible, but it's very, very risky. Now with the notarization in this process, this kind of implies, I believe, that it could go in a direction where we would find a solution where the marketplace operator is not at risk anymore, but the whole thing is really put on the shoulders of the actual owner.
I completely agree with this solution, with this notarized and solution, and with land register. I believe that we eliminated practically all of the risks. So I'm really happy into which direction we went, and really happy that we finally managed to do that. So I would say that now, when I look back in the previous months, I would say that the most difficult thing was to talk with the notary. So I would advise everybody that it's very important to find a notary which is open to innovation. And we all know that loan agreements, articles of associations, these are all the documents which are practically the same for last 400 years. And now, persuading the notaries to change something, to implement something new, let's say tokens, into the loan agreement, that's the achievement.
I think it was. I remember when we were starting this whole thing, this, let's call it the project here, right? The notarization project. And like you said before, we knew where we want to go, but we also knew that it might be tough. And I remember one of the meetings at the notary, we were there 20 minutes in, and we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
It was like she was thinking, and we were like, okay, this is not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But then she surprised us and got back to us the next time we were sitting together, and we solved it in 10 minutes. And we were like, okay, how didn't we see that before? How did we miss it, right? So it was definitely a dialogue, a process that required somebody, a notary that has an open-mindedness, that is from the new notary generation, if you will, but with immense experience at the same time, because they need to be confident to do it. They can't be a too young notary. At the same time, they need to, so experienced notary with the understanding of what can be done and what can't be done and what shouldn't be done,
and open to the innovation. So
yes,
it's try explain the very old notary what's tokenization and why we should put tokens into the land register. But look, it's possible. If we did it, I'm sure elsewhere will also this be possible.
So now, what's the next steps? I think we've achieved this first one with a very small asset. I believe the next will be trying to find bigger assets. So we have in our community people with real estate assets in Slovenia. We have people with real estate assets outside of Slovenia, in other European countries, for instance. I think that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. It's finding deals in Slovenia, finding deals outside of Slovenia, but still in continental Europe. And then hopefully we could try out another jurisdiction like the UK, for instance, to see if how things might be done in a different, let's say, legal environment, and take it from there.
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm looking forward to test our solution into different legal systems. Now we know for sure that it works in here in Slovenia, in continental legal system. We should try the other legal systems. I don't believe the property size will be a problem, because once you have this infrastructure of all these legal elements, then that's not an issue. If you'll be interested in more details, I think we'll be publishing soon a blog on Blocksquare Medium.
Yes, definitely, and on the new blog that we just launched, because we moved from using Medium as our own solely blog posting platform to our own hosted blog. So everybody is welcome to visit blog.blocksquare.io and wait for that really interesting, I would say, article that Peter authored. And yeah, and if you're interested to go more into details, obviously get in touch with us, and we will be happy to take you through the process. And
we are not hiding anything. We are more than happy to share with you the knowledge we gained. And yes, let's build together Blocksquare community further.
Exactly. So thanks, Peter, once again for this blog chat. I know that the one we had before had some technical issues, so that's why we wanted to have one more. This one is a brief one. We're just under 30 minutes right now, so I think it's also going to be a good one to share around when we have clients asking us about the notarization process and how does that work. So I'm sure this one might become one of the most popular ones on our YouTube channels. So thank you everyone for watching again. Thank you, Peter. And let's see where the road ahead lies, right?
Yeah.
All right.